Yep, you do have a very sad life. A very, very sad life. I just want to hug you. You need hugs. Oh, hello. You're there because I put my computer there to record. This is going to be one of those videos where I talk about a problem that I have within manga or entertainment mediums in general. This one definitely can fit into any sort of medium, whether it be like books, movies, video games, but manga, because I can give you examples in manga, and I want to, and I mean, you people have seen my room. You know how much manga I own. So, let's just get into it. This is a video about world building and my problems with world building. And I understand that world building is one of those situations where it is quite difficult to get right, as well as quite difficult to expand upon. Because, unfortunately, because of how media works and how people write stories and all that, you don't have enough time to fully flesh out a world. Like, you could have an infinite, like, One Piece is a good example. That series has been going on for an extremely long time, and it has almost 100 volumes at this point. I think, I'm not 100% sure. I'm not up to date. I probably won't be up to date for a long, long time. The main thing is that you get more information as when the main protagonists are going through the different islands and such, and you get more information about the islands that they visit. But at the same time, you're not getting all of the information. The entire world is at play, but sometimes in media you don't feel like the main world is there. You feel almost as if the only thing that's happening story-wise is the only thing that's happening in the world. And unfortunately, that's a difficult thing to pull off, where you are able to write a story knowing that whatever you're doing in that story is affecting the entire world, as well as the world is moving on, even if the story is just focused on one section. Certain parts of this is understandable. You can only have one person write so much. Like, they are unable to fully flesh out a world because they're only a singular person. There are certain like writing duos and all that, but at the end of the day, you can't fully explain a story and be able to have a very detailed world. Granted, you can make it feel like that and have different ways that you can go about explaining how the world works, and if the world is moving and living without just the protagonist being there, like as if everything that's happening within the world is only happening because the protagonist is there. That happens a lot, and it's an unfortunate state that most media has. Like, it is what it is. It can't really be helped, and if you even try to make something that can really feel alive, where the entire world keeps on moving, you're going to go crazy. It's an unfortunate state of circumstances. And yeah, like even one of the book series, not manga, books that I have read/listened to, The Wheel of Time, there was a lot of detailed world building, but even then there were certain parts of the world that you barely ever got to experience, because sure, it's a 15 book series, but yet you won't be able to fully explore the entirety of the world because it's how it is. Granted, what you do get in that series, you get a full fucking detail of, and it's great. It's a great series. Go read it or listen to it. I recommend listening to it. Michael Kramer and Kate Redding, very good narrators. But at the same time, it is just what it is. You can't really fully express that unless there is. So I mostly just wanted to make this video so I can continue talking about a series that I absolutely enjoy, but apparently not that many know about. And I only know this because, ooh, the sun went behind a cloud. Because one of the first videos that I made on my channel was talking manga talk about this series, and it's one of the only videos on my channel that barely has any views as well as any sort of likes on it. Granted, that could change, and it may change after this video is released. Excuse me. And that is the Ancient Magus Bride. The Ancient Magus Bride is a great series and has a good world building within it. It's a fantasy story, but takes place within the modern world essentially. So if you've ever read the Dresden Files or know about the Dresden Files, sort of similar to that, where the fantasy world is existing alongside the real world and is going forward in tandem. That's actually a very cool concept, and it is done beautifully. But it also starts to have that same sort of feeling where you feel as though the main character is the only driving part of the development of the world. But that was changed slightly because the Ancient Magus Bride has 2 side stories. Yes, it has 2 side stories that are so fucking good, and that is Jack Flash and the Fairy Case Files, as well as Wizard's Blue. Both very good series that I recommend anyone go out and read if you especially love the Ancient Magus Bride. They are set within the same world. As a result, they're not technically tied to the cast of the main series. The cast in the main series, 1 or 2 characters do show up from the other ones, but you don't need to read the Ancient Magus Bride to be able to understand what is happening. Though, if you do read it, I recommend it because it's really good, but you'll get more out of it. So, let me just talk about it, because the Ancient Magus Bride, you don't really know what the rest of the world is sort of like, how the different sort of fairy creatures and creatures of mythology have sort of developed outside of what's happening in England, because that's where the majority of it takes place, as well as a few other like small stints in like Scotland, as well as I think maybe Iceland. I'm not 100% sure off the top of my head, but you don't get a full view of it. But that changes with the Case Files, Jack Flash, and the Wizard's Blue. For instance, Wizard's Blue takes place in Paris, France, and is sort of the explanation of how the magic world works in Paris, France, and how the alchemists there deal with the different sort of fairy creatures, as well as like the fact that they introduce another, what I think is called like a thorn. I think I thought they just called him the Thorn when I explained it in my video. Turns out I think that's just what they call inhuman beings that are sort of human but also not human. They don't really know what sort of classification they fit under. So they introduce another like inhuman creature, inhuman person, as well as a different weirder magic person that uses paint, and how like the paint using different colors uses different things and does different things, not uses different things, and having it where these sort of two work sort of similar to the Elias and Chaya. I think that's her name. Chise. I don't know why I said Chaya. Chise. So it's definitely a different take, which sort of similar, but yet have a completely different dynamic, because Chise at the very beginning doesn't know anything about magic, while Ao from the Wizard's Blue does know a little bit more, but doesn't know how to control his powers and how he works magic and paint. While Jack Flash is sort of like a detective noir in New York and follows Jack and her brother here, though she is a human, She is sort of in mythology. It's called changeling. She was taken and she was placed in the fairy world. While Larry, I think it's Larry. Yeah, Larry was a fairy that was placed in the human world, and they essentially swapped places for a time, which in turn made her a fairy, but made him more human. It's just the sort of thing that happens within mythology, but it has how the magic world works in New York City, as well as how a changeling is portrayed in this world. And I love it. I love all the series because you have it where these characters are getting developed, as well as showing off more of the world. I wouldn't be recommending them if I didn't think they were good stories, and also didn't think that the world building is so much better if you add how different countries in the world in this sort of situation developed, as well as change throughout. And it's solid. Really, really fucking solid. I mean, there's a few other examples, but yeah, it's just one of those situations where that is so good. It's really good, and I highly recommend it. And I think that's the best way that you could have a story and a world within that story not feel like it's just only progressing with the main character, I think that's a great thing. Granted, it's a hard thing to do because you would have to have multiple people be writing, and you would have to be able to say, yes, you can do this within my world. It's perfectly fine. Just don't do this, and this. Just stay within the how the rules of the world work, I mean, even with something like Dungeons & Dragons, off the top of my head, they have multiple writers, but yet the majority of those stories come out from the Sword Coast on one world, and I'm just like, motherfucker, you have multiple worlds, and yet you're only really writing books in one of them. So yeah, it's difficult, and you will get more information in certain areas of the world, and I always feel like I need more. That's how it usually goes for me. But yeah, hopefully this didn't feel like a rambling type deal, and if you want me to sit in the corner again, please say so in the comments. If you want to see more of this stupid bearded face, then go ahead, hit that subscribe button. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button. If you disliked the video, that's fine. You can do that. But, maybe think about hitting the like button. I don't know. Yeah, I think that's about it. This was a weird video. I will say, almost to 100 subs. I think at this point, 13 as of the recording of this video. So that might change, but hey, I'm almost to 100. I won't give you guys anything. I don't have that much to give, except my love and appreciation. Yeah. So stay safe out there. Wow. Stay safe out there. I don't know what the fuck I said. It's almost the time of the year where I can start wearing hoodies all the time. Yes. Yeah, that's it. Stay safe. Read manga. I don't know how to end this video from here. It's gonna slowly slide off screen. Bye.